Okay, we are live, people, and welcome to my Lauren Loves Movies podcast number 2. And today I am joined with Aficionados Chris and Romero Movie News, and we are going to be talking about the Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Now, this also includes both the films and the movies. So let's start off with the first question. Um, so I'll start with Chris first. And are you more of a fan of the books or the movies? And if so, which are you more of a fan of?
Movies, because I never read the books. Short and
Do you
sweet
like,
answer for you.
do you like all the movies?
I've
Like
only
the
ever
Lord of the
seen Lord
Rings
of the
and The
Rings
Hobbit?
trilogy. I haven't seen The Hobbit, no.
Well, you should.
Maybe
Uh,
I will,
yeah, the
and
third one
maybe
still
I
has to come
won't.
out. Part 3 still has to come out. Romero,
Mm-hmm.
same question.
All right. I've never, like Chris, I've never read the book. I did like, I think that's why I'm more of a fan of the films. Didn't like The Hobbit, Unexpected Journey that much. It really wasn't my cup of tea. I actually like Desolation of Smog much more. It's actually one of my favorite films of last year. It was really well put together. And also, I gotta say that the Lord of the Rings franchise, to me, is one of the best trilogies. I don't know how the books went about it, but however the books were in comparison with the film, I think the film did a great job, adapting its source material. So, yeah, I gotta say the movies, I'm much more of a fan of the movies. I've never even read one thing of the book, so maybe if I do, I'll try to see if I could compare and contrast them. But for right now, the movies, yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say I'd have to agree with you, Romero, because um, as far as the books go, I definitely the only Lord of the Rings book I ever read was The Two Towers, and that was back in elementary school. I did it for a book report, and I never read any of the other books. And I just recently started reading The Hobbit, except I ended up skimming through it and going all the way to the end, and I just died reading it. But
Cheater!
yeah,
Cheater,
cheater.
cheater, pumpkin eater!
Hey, come on. It was all good fun. I don't really care what happens in the end as long as it's still gonna be a good movie. Because I actually love the movies, especially Lord of the Rings trilogy. Uh, just absolutely love them. And then also with the Hobbit movies, I was a fan of the first movie, even though it was very, I guess, they, took most of the time trying to have all that character development, but they still had to build it up as each movie goes on. So awesome. And I've always actually wondered this, and I know I've heard this a lot on message boards and all over the internet. How would you guys think the Lord of the Rings trilogy would fare if it were made in this sort of, I guess, time compared to it being made in the early 2000s, and then the same thing with The Hobbit. Like, instead of that being made last, it would have been made first. Which one would you have preferred to see?
I'm
I'll
not
start
sure how
with
to
I'll
answer
start with
that.
Romero.
I don't know actually about that question. I think the Lord of the Rings were for their time. I think they came out, what was it, 2000s, early 2000s, 2004,
2001. Yeah, 2000.
2000s, yeah. So for what it's worth, they did a great job with the effects that they were doing. If they were doing them now instead of The Hobbit, I think the visual effects could, like the grand scale battles and all that, would have been so much more. They could have added so much more visual touch-ups to their scenes and action sequences, because the action sequences in Desolation of Smog, especially the river scene, are really well choreographed and really well visually put together. So maybe they could have put that same kind of work, if they did The Lord of the Rings now these days, into those grand scale battles and action sequences. The Hobbit, I think, they could have done it first, maybe back in the 2000s, to kind of give people a backstory. I don't know what it is with some companies doing prequels before they do their, before the giant big source. Star Wars did the same thing. They did the whole prequel
Mhm.
after the first original three movies, and it seems that the Hobbit or the Lord of the Rings franchise is doing the same. So, uh, I think the Lord of the Rings could benefit from it being filmed nowadays with the advancements in motion capture and CGI and everything. So it could definitely benefit. And Hobbit maybe could have been a little different if it had been done in early 2000 and stuff, because there isn't that many visuals to begin with. It's a lot more of the background and kind of atmosphere for the Hobbit, and less about the grand scale images. So yeah, that's what I would think about that.
Chris, do you
Tim Curry would agree
have
with.
a response?
Um, I don't really know how to answer that. Same with Romero, but I mean, they were revolutionary for the time, especially because CGI was still kind of developing, and Lord of the Rings kind of showed what it could really do, and I think it really benefits. Lord of the Rings even today is a really well produced action adventure epic. Um, but to answer the whole, like with the prequel thing, the only reason it took so long was I believe there was a rights issue with who actually owned the movie rights to the Hobbit story. And Lord of the Rings didn't have that much of an issue, but it was the Hobbit that people were fighting over. And I think they had to come to a mutual agreement in order to get the new films made.
And they
Hmm.
went back and forth directors as well, because originally it was supposed to be Guillermo del
Guillermo
Toro.
Guillermo
del
del
Toro.
Toro.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I actually have a question about that, but that's for later. And
Why
also to
not
add
now?
on to that, yeah, not now. But well, I mean, I would definitely have to agree with Romero. I mean, I personally think that the quality of the films, as far as the special effects and the graphics and CGI, have vastly improved since I'd have to say the first Lord of the Rings movie. And I mean, even though I would like more of the realistic aspect of the Lord of the Rings, and I have no idea why they used so much CGI in The Hobbit. I think it was just because of cost-cutting measures or something along those lines. But I mean, I definitely think that does partially take away from the quality of the films, which is why another question I have is quality-wise, which series do you think is better? Would you think that it's Lord of the Rings that's better, or would you say The Hobbit? Chris, I'll give it to you to answer.
I haven't seen The Hobbit, so I would have to say Lord of the
Go
Rings
see The
just
Hobbit.
because.
You need to see The Hobbit.
Quiet, you. I'll get around to it. I find it amusing there's two Romeros in here.
Oh my god. Yeah, it just like popped up.
That is
Anyway,
too. That is too many.
One too
maybe
many.
a
No,
Gollum,
no, too
Smeagol.
many. There are too many.
Gollum, Smeagol. Nice. Romero, I don't know if you already answered that. You probably sort of slightly answered that question. As
Mm.
far as quality, which one, like, do you think is better out of
Yeah.
the two? Lord of the Rings or
I think
the
it's not much of a toss up. It's Lord of the Rings definitely is
yeah.
better. Hobbit is kind of like the first film didn't do much for me. Second film did a little bit more.
And we're still
Uh,
waiting for that third movie to come out. That
oh
trailer
yeah,
has not.
exactly. So we're still waiting for the third film. So yeah, Lord of the Rings is definitely it's like Chris said, it's a huge epic adventure. So in its grand scale of things, it's
Hmm.
probably one of the most memorable trilogies, along with Star Wars, and I guess you could even say Indiana Jones and The Dark Knight. There's a lot of great trilogies out there, and Lord of the Rings is one of them. So definitely Lord of the
Hmm.
Rings.
Yeah, definitely. I always had this feeling like, okay, so we'll have the best Lord of the Rings trilogy ever, especially directed by Peter Jackson. And I mean, I'm thinking, okay, nothing and no one can possibly top this trilogy, especially as far as remaking it goes. That has also been something I've been hearing around the block. Like, who would even have the balls to remake this whole trilogy, even like way like 10, 20 years down the road? Uh, and I guess like it just would be a shame if they ended up doing that. So, how long do you guys think we'll ever see a Middle Earth film, like as far as having it in this universe? How long do you think it'll take before we see something of this scale in this location, like ever in the movie theater? Chris, I'll give this to you.
It had to be something really good. But so far, no one tries. Dark
Yeah.
Knight came pretty close, I think. I mean, as far as quality and adventure. The Harry Potter movies were pretty good at that. I mean, Lord of the Rings is kind of its own entity. The closest thing we got right now is Game of Thrones, really. I mean, it is partially inspired by Lord of the Rings anyway, so I think that's really... I don't think we've got close to that, and that's a TV show, so I don't even think it's in the
Well,
same
it did have
ballpark.
Sean Bean in it, and I think he died in that show, and he was Boromir.
That's his entire career.
Yeah, dies in the movie.
Dying.
Not in
Oh
the movie.
boy. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Romero, do you have a reply?
I don't know. I don't think in this day and
We
age
got by
we haven't.
Jack. He won't be able to direct it. Or direct another Middle Earth film or spin-off or anything.
I don't know. I guess we are getting the World of Warcraft movie soon, and that's being done by Duncan Jones, who did Source Code. And I've seen a lot of the cinematic trailers for World of Warcraft, and they're amazing. So, and they have a lot of, grand scale battles. Who knows? Maybe Duncan Jones' World of Warcraft could end up being the next Lord of the Rings, with all that majesty and spectacle and grand scale fight sequences and action. That could end up being what we've been waiting for. I mean, it doesn't come out until 2016. And it was supposed to originally come out in 2015, but they delayed it. So we're going to have to wait a while to see if World of Warcraft... I think it honestly could be the next Lord of the Rings if it does plays its cards right. So I guess we'll have to wait a year or so to see. But as of right now, the only thing I could think of that could be like that epic, like Lord of the Rings with visuals and battles, is the Avengers. That's the only thing I could think of. Because it's like almost on par with that, because that whole sequence in New York City is huge, and then we have Avengers: Age of Ultron coming out. So yeah, I think that would be the only movie right now or series that I think right now could be on par with that kind of epic actions.
And sort of have like this really dark sort of tone, or sort of going into this gritty direction, which actually leads me into another question I was going to ask you guys. Do you? Well, I can't really ask this to Chris because he hasn't seen The Hobbit, but Romero, I'll ask you. But do you like the tone of the Hobbit movies, or do you wish they were more on par with the Lord of the Rings, just to be consistent?
Well, from what I've been told by our friend Pixie Blossom, Grace Anderson, giving her a plug in here. Plug. But she's told me that in comparison, like, The Lord of the Rings was always meant to be kind of an adult book, a lot of dark grittiness, and then The Hobbit was written kind of more as a kid's book, a lot like with adventure and then storytelling and less violence. And I could see that. Like in Lord of the Rings, it's very dark, it's very gritty, it's in your face. I think the only time we ever see joy and happiness is at the beginning of the first movie, like the first 20, 30 minutes with like Bilbo and everything, and then the last like ending sequence of the trilogy with them partying and having fun. But the whole movie is just one huge dark, epic, serious story. With The Hobbit, it's kind of more like it's fun, it's quirky, there is action, but it isn't that dark and brooding like Lord of the Rings, but it's kind of like, I guess because Peter Jackson is trying to mimic the different styles of the books, so I have no issue with it, and it would not be fair to compare both of their styles, because also they're two different books meant for two different demographics, so that's just the way I see it.
Yeah, and even though, as far as the Hobbit movies go, they're actually expanding what was actually in the book by taking things from the Lord of the Rings appendices, and they're putting in all of these dark elements, like the whole necromancer and Battle of Dol Guldur thing, which we'll actually see in the third Hobbit movie. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that. Like, I mean, I could definitely see that. I mean, even though they're still supposed to have it kid-friendly and have Lord of the Rings more like for adults, but I
Mm.
can still see adults seeing The Hobbit, even though it's a lot of CGI overload. It's just crazy. And actually, I have a question that could be both for both of you guys, and I know Chris will definitely answer this. Uh, so, is there a character, and this sort of like going kind of off track, but is there a character in the Tolkien lore, actually in either the books or the movies, you would like to see put in a spin-off movie? If they ever decided to make a spin-off movie, I don't know why they would do that. Chris, I'm going to give it
Gimli.
to you.
Gimli, all Gimli. Need more of him.
I have the eyes of a hawk and the ears of a fox.
You're not Gimli. Don't lie to me.
Hey, I know Gloin. That's what we left, Gimli. Romero.
I would say Legolas is a probably solo movie a lot of people would like to see of him because he's the most popular character amongst the fandom and the female fandom as well.
Really?
So a Legolas spin-off solo film would probably be something a lot of people would like to see. Maybe a solo film of Gandalf, how he came to be the most, powerful wizard, ever. So I think those two would be characters that I think could work as solo films very much. So yeah, those two would be something I'd like to see.
We have
Maybe
a
even
Gandalf spin-off, though.
maybe even Gollum as well.
I was
You know.
literally just thinking that like a couple hours ago. I was like, okay. As I
Yeah,
was
maybe.
writing all these questions, I was like, the perfect thing to see would be Andy Serkis. I would love to see Andy Serkis come back once again.
I think it would be cool to see a Gollum solo
Yeah,
film.
like
Yeah,
his origin story, like
it would be pretty
Lord of the
cool.
Rings origins Gollum.
Yeah.
They should
He's
totally
got
title it that. Instead of doing like Lord of the Rings, like
Yeah, no, I get
no.
that.
Yeah, I mean, and that also made me think of, speaking of Legolas and him being an elf, what do you guys think of the inclusion of original characters made by Peter Jackson and company, like Toriel, and I don't even know who else. Toriel is definitely one of them. Chris, you play
Um,
fans of this? I mean, you know who I'm talking about? Toriel, redhead elf. No? He's not
I
answering.
haven't seen the new movies.
Have you seen a trailer? Have you seen
No.
a trailer?
I don't watch trailers
well,
unless they're
crap.
forced.
How did you do that?
Romero.
Romero.
Mm.
Romero forces me to watch trailers.
I don't know if
Good
they're.
argument.
Talking stick.
Well, like I said, I've never read any of the books, so if they added original characters, I wouldn't know the difference, honestly, because I've never read any of the source material. So, I didn't even know Lily Collins was an original character.
Lily Collins.
So,
Eventually Lily.
I know that's the actress who plays her in the yeah, whatever. It's I didn't know that she was an original character, honestly. So there's your thing. I wouldn't know the difference, honestly. So I'd be surprised if they had some original characters. I mean, the only character that I really like in the new Hobbit films is Azog the Deviler, and from Pixie Blossom
Yeah.
and from what Pixie Blossom has told us, he's not even a big character in the book or in the cartoon movie. So it's kind of like I don't really care because I've never read the source material. So just to see a character like that, I like the character. I think Azog's pretty badass and cool. So yeah, that's the only character that I could think of that is new to the lore of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit that I like a lot.
Mm. And also, how would you guys rank all of the movies? Like, from 1 to, I guess, 5 right now, because there's one that still has yet to be seen. But so far, how would you rate the movies? Chris, you can just do the Lord of the Rings trilogy since you haven't seen The Hobbit. Chris?
11 out of 10.
But each movie.
For all together, they're one movie to me.
Oh, okay.
I've marathoned them. Don't you tempt me.
Romero?
I guess Fellowship of the Ring would be like a 8 out of 10 for me. Uh, Twin Towers or
Yeah,
it
two
would
thousand.
be the Two Towers would be I'd say that would be the best one, so it'd be 10 out of 10. And Return of the King, it would be like a 9.5 out of 10. Just because I don't know what it is with trilogies, but the second movie almost every time seems to be the best out of the three. Like The Dark Knight is the best out of the Dark Knight trilogy. Spider-Man 2 is the best one out of the three movies. Toy Story 2, well, no, not really.
It
But
was for the
sometimes
time.
for the time, yeah, Toy Story 2 was the best one. Empire Strikes Back. So it's
That's
always
just
like
a
this.
fact of life.
I know, right?
The second movie is always the best, and then it's like
So it's like the
third
second
one.
movie's. It's like the second one. The first one is like to set up a story. Second one is the best one because it's already like all the characters have been introduced. And the third one's like a conclusion. So it's kind of like, I guess like that's one thing the Harry Potter franchise never had an issue with because there were like 7 movies. So there was never like a peak. There was never like a peak. Like which movie's better or which one in the. It's like they're all good, you know.
I don't know. The last one's really, really good.
Return of the King.
I say
I wasn't really. Yeah, go ahead, Romero.
I say the fifth film in the Harry Potter franchise is the best. The fifth and the fourth one.
Screw you, you're wrong.
I cried watching the fifth Harry Potter movie. I cried watching all Lord of the Rings movies. I swear, they're like literally. It's basically as if I were watching a Disney movie where I haven't watched them since I was a kid. I go back to being an adult and I'm watching these movies and I just start bawling my eyes out. Literally, the music just gets me. I mean, oh, it is just perfect. Sorry, just a small fangirl moment right there. And speaking of moments, what is your guys' favorite moment in uh, any of the movies? Chris?
Um,
The the big fight scene.
Which
you're the
one?
worst. You're the worst.
Shut up! I haven't seen the Hobbit.
You're not
Fight
even.
scene?
You're not even
Yeah.
trying.
I'm having fun. I don't care about
The
you.
fight scene, like, okay, let's play the guessing game. Fight scene in the Fellowship of the Ring between Aragorn and
I hate
Bart.
the fact that because I had a long sit down when I first saw these movies that I don't remember which. It's got a infamous scene because Legolas and Gimli are counting how many people they kill.
Mhm.
I
And
think that's.
like,
I think yeah.
you know what I'm talking about? Legolas
Yeah,
like, shoots down this big like elephant thing, and it comes down. He
Yeah,
looks
yeah.
at Gimli and goes, "I still only count this one."
James,
You know what's funny?
James,
They're
love me a beer or a pint.
I think their banter between Legolas and Gimli was always great. Like there's this one banter where it's like after the Battle of the Wall, Gimli's sitting on a dead orc, and and Legolas shoots an arrow into the body. He goes like, "What are you doing?" He goes like, "That was still alive." He goes like, "What do you mean? He's dead." He goes like, "But he was twitching. That's because he's got my axe embedded in his nervous system." And he starts twitching. He starts moving the axe, and the orc starts twitching. Yeah, so it's pretty funny.
I think
But
that's like Gimli scenes, really.
Gimli's the they even bring him up in the new movie too. Like Legolas gets one of the dwarfs. One
I'll
of the
show
dwarves.
you. I have a picture of like every single one. Wait, let's see if I can find him. You can't probably tell, but he's right there.
Yeah, that one right there.
That
That one
one.
right there. Yeah. He gets a picture. Legolas digs into this dwarf's wallet and he goes like, "What is this? A goblin mutant?" And he goes like, "That's my wee lad, Gimli." He's like, because it's like a prequel.
And then did you see his
Like, it's
eyebrow
like when I saw that
raise?
scene, yeah, like when I saw that scene, I was kind of like thinking in my head like, "Oh, these guys have been going at it before Gimli even knew who Legolas was."
Yeah.
Like,
It is kind of funny though how I mean it'll be really interesting to see how the Hobbit movies bridge that gap between uh, that and the Lord of the Rings and having that connection. I'd love to see how they sort of connect all of these little special moments with these characters. So that'll be really, really interesting to see. I'd have to say one of my favorite moments would have to be, it's actually kind of sad. It's the breaking of the Fellowship from the Fellowship of the Ring. I mean, that was just like, I mean, it was kind of sad, but it was interesting to see where they would all go and like what was going to happen to them, and just like how much they were going to just have to fight to continue on this huge journey, which was like literally taking forever. I don't even think the journey in The Hobbit was that long compared to that in Lord of the Rings, but it was pretty crazy. Are there any parts of either the books or the movies that you hated? We'll talk about the movies. Screw the books. Are there any moments in the movies that you hated, that you just did not like or didn't understand? Chris?
Not really, no. They're pretty straightforward. I like the movies overall. I gave them 11 out of 10. Did you not hear that?
Sorry, I was getting distracted by Legolas. It was in my mind.
You're our host. You shouldn't be getting distracted by pretty boys.
Oh, trust me, he's a pretty boy elf. Romero?
No, like Chris, I haven't had any issue with any moments in the film. There's never been like a best or worst part. Like all the movies are perfect to a T, so I enjoy them all equally.
At least the Peter Jackson live-action movies. Now, they also had those animated movies. I don't know if you guys have seen either the Bakshi movie or what was it, the Rankin Bass movie or something. What was that, The Hobbit? That was the Hobbit one.
They did too. They did The Hobbit and they did Return of the King because
I did not see the Return of the King. I know they like in the Lord of the Rings animated movie, they like cut it off after the Battle of Helm's Deep. I was like, well, where's the ending? That is not an ending.
They ran out of money.
The quality between that.
They ran out of money, Lauren. You can't blame them for going broke.
That was made in like the 70s, right? I mean,
what does that have to do with anything?
I thought it was pretty
Star Wars came out in the 1970s, Lauren.
What?
Star Wars is from the 1970s. Come on.
Well, sometimes.
No, not sometimes, Lauren.
Oh,
that's just a fact.
They get me sometimes.
Jaws came out in the 1970s.
Oh, but Jaws was that was about a shark. Did you see any shark things in Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit?
What does? I'm still bothered by your statement about that was 1970s. Like that's a bad thing. Those are the greatest movies of all time come out in the 70s.
Wait, for which? The Hobbit?
The Hobbit was a TV special.
Yeah, that little intro music with the Bilbo Shire song.
It's being re-released on DVD this year, finally.
Oh, I should do that again.
Oh yeah, it's great.
I prefer the Lord of the Rings. What was that, Romero?
Sorry. Just me. You know, you have a comment here. Somebody said, ROBB, the movie collector, said, do you think that The Hobbit really needed 3 movies? Or are they just stretched out to make another trilogy? Yep. I agree with that. It's definitely, that's a definitely thing. Because I remember, like, they released the trailer, and it was just going to be, like, The Hobbit, and that's it. And they had all the scenes from all 3 movies in there. But then they edited it out, and they just released, like, the original trailer had every single scene, like, everything. But then they removed it, and, yeah, so it's kind of like, whatever.
Yeah, they took out, well, especially for the Desolation of Smaug, they took out, or at least switched around a lot of scenes. Like, they had the scene where Azog was supposed to show up in Mirkwood, but then it was his son that showed up or something. So they changed the whole thing around because it was never intended to have that crazy love triangle that's like Twilight related. That's what I call it. I always compare that love triangle to Twilight for some reason. I hate Twilight. But I actually don't mind that love triangle. I mean, with the addition of that elf chick, I don't know. I hope something bad happens to her. That sounds so
evil.
I'm evil.
Good one, Chris. Oh yeah. So
yeah.
What?
Oh.
I'm just a hunger and burning.
Whoa! You can't do it. I can, but you
I know.
can't.
What
Alright,
was that?
anyways.
Did you just say Leroy Jenkins?
No,
Leroy Jenkins.
we did not.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to hear that.
Oh.
Do you guys have a favorite character? Did I mention that? Did I ask that
Yes.
question?
I think, yeah, you did. Yeah, we talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
We did.
We did.
I ran out of questions.
You're out of
Uh,
questions.
that-
Happy birthday!
I wrote like 10 questions down. I'm just like, let's wing it.
It's okay. It's pretty good, actually. I like it.
No, I mean, I am really looking forward to this next Hobbit movie coming up. Like, you guys like don't even know. I've been literally obsessing over when the trailer was supposed to show up. Like, I would be checking Twitter like every 5 seconds. Like, is it on yet? Did somebody post it yet? Because they actually did have a Denver Comic-Con today, and they were supposed to show footage. So if anybody was there, I don't think anybody was. They haven't posted anything yet.
There we go.
There we go.
There.
Go back to the Shire.
Do we have any more topics, or are you done, Lord?
I can show you my really awesome pin. We can talk about the Never Laugh at Live Dragons pin. Oh no, it's backwards. It's a mirror. Yeah.
That's a big ass pin.
Dude, and I also have a big ass poster of Desolation
Is this just going to be the segment where you show off your nerd attire? Just everything that makes you what you are?
I'm gonna show. Oh yeah, you want to see something?
I don't know.
Look at that Pez right there.
Pez dispensers.
Why is there a black guy in there?
Black guy?
Why is there a black guy in there?
That's an orc.
Right.
That is not racist at all.
I'm gonna call you out.
Well,
on that.
if that's going to be all for today,
Yeah.
tonight. I think
Congratulations.
that was fun. That was
Okay,
fun.
okay.
That was a good job.
Good job,
Yeah.
everybody. Great job.
That was a lot of
Good
fun.
job. Great job. High five. High five to all. High
High
five.
five.
High
High
five.
five. All right, Lauren, you know what to
Okay.
do. Sign us off.
Alright, so, I'm obviously Lauren Loves Movies. If you guys aren't familiar with my channel, you should be if you haven't subscribed. I talk all about movies. I do movie reviews, I do movie news, and various movie vlogs, and I also do every week consistently Trailer Thursday videos. And yeah, I think that's. Oh yeah, and I also have a new series. I keep forgetting about it. It's this new sort of worst movies reviews where I'm going to be basically every single month talking about either 1 or 2 really, really horrible movies. So if you guys have any suggestions on terrible movies, let me know, and I will definitely review them.
Battleship.
I have not seen that, so I will see
Screw
that.
you,
and
Chris.
I will...
I like Battleship.
And that's why you're single.
Oh, that's a shame.
That's see, and insults
yeah.
like that are why you're single.
And Romero, why don't you tell us about your channel? It's really awesome.
My channel, yeah, not much. Romero Movie News. I do movie reviews. I do movie tributes. I do trailer reactions, and I give you movie news on anything. I give you movie news on anything that's big. You know, like there's the story supposedly about I mean, I'm gonna film the video tomorrow, so we'll see what happens about Jason Momoa possibly playing Aquaman in Dawn of Justice. So I'm gonna talk about that tomorrow, hopefully. But yeah, if you want to check out my channel, I do movie news, movie reviews, I do trailer reactions. So it's an awesome channel. Check me out. And actually, Chris did the animation for my intro that is pretty iconic, and Will did my intro song. So it's pretty sweet. So yeah, check out my channel and check out We Live Film. I do a podcast on there every Friday called the We Live Film Podcast. And this next week we're gonna have on Friday. We're gonna talk about favorite movie trilogies. So yay!
Talk about that Lord of the
That's
Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
Chris, take
Go
it
to
away.
aficionadoschris.com.
That's it.
I'm sure your viewers can type, click a button.
Just
It's
ignore
all
it.
there. It's
Just
all
ignore it.
there. They know what to do. They have common sense.
Do they know what you talk about besides movies and ponies? And
Did you say ponies or baloney? I thought she said baloney.
I said
I
ponies.
review all types of baloney. Ham, pork, bacon baloney. That's a new one.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Go and watch My Little Baloney. Friendship is pork. It's a great show. It's very short though, because they all die within 5 seconds.
All right, moving on.
There's no moving on, Mister. I'm gonna
Yeah,
plug
you're
things
getting
for
cut
2
off.
minutes.
Time out, buddy.
Go
Okay.
aficionadoschris.com. I love you.
Oh, we love you too, Chris. And also, I'd like to thank our viewers again for watching my second podcast, and I will definitely let you know when I have my third podcast sometime soon. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And for everyone here today, have a good night, and I'll see you guys later.
And now we take our clothes off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking it all off.